This is the light of all the lights that you see. That is how he mentioned. And in verse number 8, he mentions, Iti khetram tatha jnanam geyam chuktam samasatah madbhaktam etad vijnaya madbhavaya utupadyate. So he's saying that, iti khetram tatha jnanam. So this whole thing is this whole material field that you see, that he was trying to explain. And then that is also that you try to know, because he mentioned three things. I'll explain. What is khetragya, and what is khetra, and what is the thing which is knowable, what is jnatavya, tadgyam, and knowing which you shall get liberation, you will get immortality. And this, I'm summarizing it. And then says, do you know who can actually have access to that? My devotees. And who are these devotees? There's a beautiful thing he's mentioned in our great Madhusudana Saraswati. He mentions that Yasya Devo Deve Pravati, Tatha Deve Tatha Guru, Yasya Deve Pravati. So in the, whether it's Lord Krishna or whosoever, the Devatas, the divinities, or Ishvara, you have complete devotion. Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. And then also having same kind of dedication and same kind of shraddha in the words of the Guru, the Sadguru, whosoever. Tasya ete kathita yarthaha prakasante mahatmana. And this is what exactly. And that is what sort of enables the person with the secrets of the Shastras and the realizations, everything. And in case of a Mahatma, these are the things, and it sort of gives him all the Purusharthas, this is what he's saying. So, and this is what he mentioned, the verse number 18 and 19, which we discussed yesterday, Prakritim Purusham Sheva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi. So the Purusha and a Prakriti are Anadi, both of them. And then there was a lot of debate whether Bhagavan creates Purusha Prakriti or they're self-created, whether they precede Bhagavan or they succeed Bhagavan. And there was a bit of a debate. And Vikarangsha Gunangsheva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. And the Vikaras, the Shodasa Vikaras, the Shodasa Vikaras we have Mana, 5 karmendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, and Pancha Mahabhuta. These are the Vikaras. And what is the Prakriti? That Mula Prakriti. And after that, Buddhi and Ahankara. And then you have 5 Tanmatras. These 7 are both Prakriti and Vikriti. Okay? So together they are these 24 tattvas we had discussed earlier. So here he is saying that the Gunan is the Sattva, Tama, and Rajas, and plus the Vikaras, all the Shodasa Vikaras, they are born out of Prakriti, because Bhagavan has earlier sort of mentions, if you remember, that he has clarified that when we were discussing chapter 7, that this is my Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. What this chapter does is, what we studied there as Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, the Apara Prakriti is the Jada Varga, and the Para Prakriti is the Jiva. The same Para and Apara Prakriti, what he mentioned there, are spoken in different languages in this chapter as Kshetra and Kshetragya. What is Kshetra? Kshetra is whatever the Jada Varga, all these things which are getting modified. And the Para thing is the consciousness, the Chaitana thing. And that is what we know as Kshetragya, which is actually ultimately just one, but appears as many, because it is kind of caught up in different mind-body complexes of all of us. And therefore, we treat them as many. That is what is mentioned here. And so here, what is explaining is this, that, yeah, so, and that is one thing. And then he mentions that they both are Anadi, because the bit of a debate, the Vaishnavas and others have a lot of temptation to sort of see God is creating this whole samsara, and therefore they would argue that Purusha and Prakriti, if you say that they are also Nitya, they are also Anadi, then they can create this samsara. What will Bhagavan do? So in order to give more importance to Bhagavan, they want to imagine that Purusha and Prakriti succeed Bhagavan. They are not earlier than Bhagavan. They are not simultaneously appearing at Bhagavan. They are after Bhagavan comes into being. Now Shankaracharya explains that what is actually Ishvara? Ishvara, with the help of Maya, becomes Ishvara. Otherwise, the Parameshwara Brahman has no Ichha Sakti, no Jnana Sakti, nothing. These are all becoming apparent only when you associate the Param Brahman, which has no name and form, with the name and form which is associable, which is relevant to talk about. Once Bhagavan assumes that Maya Sakti, he takes that Maya Sakti in his control, then he becomes Ishvara. Is it literally true? No. All that is being said is the same Brahman, when it is seen in conjunction with Maya, it appears like Ishvara. And then same Ishvara, when it is seen in the material formations, you can imagine him as having created the Apara Prakriti and Apara Prakriti and Khetra and Khetragya, all that. It's just one thing only. At different lenses, the kind of lens you use, there is a certain manifestation of that unified reality. And that is what is being conveyed here. So he's saying Prakriti and Purusha, they are both Anadi, because if you say they succeed Bhagavan, then Bhagavan is creating this samsara, Bhagavan is Nitya, then what will happen to these whole samsara? They'll also be real, fundamentally real. So why should they go anywhere? That means no mukhya. And why Bhagavan is creating everything? So they are saying no. Bandha mukhya, this vichara comes because we consider that the appearance of the samsara is the cause of our ignorance. It is the cause of our, that baddha, abaddhata, or we can say that limitation, that constricted kind of existence which we have, fully limited in terms of possibilities, in terms of what we can experience, in terms of how free we are. The ultimate freedom, however, is experienced when we experience oneness with the perfect one. Oneness with the perfect one, and that perfect one is the Brahman, where there is no name and form, there is nothing, there is no fear, there is no agony, there is no happiness. That is what Vedanta teaches. And therefore, he is saying that if you presume that Prakriti and Purushas are created by Bhagavan, and then they create, and this kind of jumble he doesn't accept. He says the best thing is to assume that Prakriti and Purusha both are Anadi, because if there is Ishvara prior to Prakriti Purusha, he cannot have Isha Sakti. It is with this Prakriti Purusha and this whole Maya thing that Bhagavan becomes Ishvara. So you cannot separate. So let's imagine simultaneous. It's much easy for us to deal with it. And then the Purusha, the Bhokta, it is also created by our Purva Papa Punya. Here the Purusha is the individual things, right? They like the Sankhya Mata. So these Purushas, the individual innumerable Purushas the Sankhya people talk about, here we call them Kshetrajna or Paraprakriti. And these subjectivities that we have, our states of mind, our approach to life, or whatever you call them, they are a product of what? Our past papas and punyas, our past approaches, right? And therefore, he kind of nicely explains that the best way to sort of deal with them would be to, in fact, accept that they are anadi and Bhagavan sort of creates them. Okay, Purusham Prakritim Cheva Vidya Nadi Bhavapi Vikaranshu Guna Cheva Vidhi Prakriti Samavad. And that is how we have sort of have dealt with it. And let's now look at the verse number 98, 20th. So in the 20th verse, he's now explaining Ke punate vikara gunacha prakriti sambhava. What are these vikara and gura that you mentioned in the second half of that verse number 19? Vikarangsha gunangshaiva. Vikaras and gunas, the Sattvatama Rajas and the Vikara, the Sodas Vikaras. Vidhi, please know, Prakriti Sambhavan, they are born out of Prakriti. So he is insisting the student to know a little more about them, and Bhagavan is obliged to explain that. So he's explaining in the verse number 20th. Karya Karana Kartutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukhanang Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate. So, Karya Karana Kartitve. What is Karya and Karana? There are two words here. So, Karya in one way is the Sarira. This is a product of this whole thing. Karana is all the Indriya Grama we have, all the Indriyas we have. And the Kartva and how it has agency. Hetu Prakriti Uchyate. Because this whole thing is a modification of Prakriti that we have, this body and mind and the Indriyas. So the Karya Karana Sanghara, the body-mind complex that we have, is a modification of Prakriti. And the Mahatattva and becomes Ahankara, Panchatanmatra, after which the Vikaras emerge, right? Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, Manas, and Panchamahavutas, the physical aspect of this body. And then this body will not be able to experience anything without consciousness. Manas is also jara. You need even something beyond, because as we have discussed earlier, we sometimes say my mind is not functioning well, mind is undergoing depression. So mind is not having any independent agency. It is like a function, it is like a faculty, like anything. Like we have the ability to hear. When we are asleep, we cannot hear anything. Similarly, the mind is there. It appears as if it is the main doer, but no, there is somebody else, because of which we are able to say that my mind is not very good today. I'm a little depressed, or I'm a little elated. My mind is happy, my mind is sad. So that manas is definitely uh, is being recognized by somebody. There's somebody to talk about it. So there is some consciousness above that. And that bhokta that is experiencing this is good, this is bad, you are happy, you are sad, that experiencer, that bhoktritva, there is bhogya and there is bhokta. There is something to be experienced and there is an experiencer. And there is bhoktritva, that experienceability, that ability to experience something. Who is that bhokta? Purusha sukha dukhanang bhoktritve hetuchete. So, in order for us to have a physical body and the indriyas and everything, they are all modifications of the prakriti, and that we are able to connect with the external world, that we are able to connect, make use of our indriyas. What is the cause? The cause is this Purusha. And this Purusha is not the Brahman of Vedanta. This Purusha is the Para Prakriti of the chapter 7, which Bhagavan mentioned. That's all the Etid Yonini Bhutani. These are whatever you see, they are born out of this Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. There is the subjective aspect, the conscious aspect, and the Jada aspect. So the same Para and Apara Prakriti are mentioned here as Purusha and Prakriti. Okay, Purushas. And the Sukha Dukhanam Bhoktritva, that we experience Sukha and Dukha, happiness and sadness, there the agency that we can attribute it to is actually the Purusha, which means the Paraprakriti. Let us look at how Shankaracharya elaborates it. Karya Karana Kartutve. What is Karya? Karyam Shariram. Very simple. Karya is the product, the final product. That is the work. Work of what? Work of Prakriti. It is kind of modified out of the material provided by Prakriti. And Karanani, Tatsani, Trayodashaha. And there are these 13. And how you count the 13? Let's count the 13. So if we start with, the Manobuddhi Ahankara, and then we call all these Indriyas, they will together will become 13. So this Trayodasaha is saying. So by Vishayasya Prakriti, Dehasya Arambakani Bhutani Vishayacha Prakriti Sambhavaha. See, now Dehasya Arambakani. So who are sort of the initiators, the initial causes, the beginning, the causes which are responsible for its beginning. Bhutani. So, and Vishayaha. And then we have a body. Then it wants to have food. It wants to experience cold or hot temperature, and then air and breathing. So these are the bhutas, right? Bhutas outside. Prakriti Sambhava, they are modifications. Vikaraha. Purvakta iha karya grahanena grihyante. So now, because you are saying the moment you use this word karya, then Prakriti, the karana, retains the karya in it. Like gold has golden necklace in it. So when you mention gold, you are also kind of referring to all gold products or golden products in similar way. So karya grahanena grihante. All the vikaras, the moment you mention them as karya, then you know that all the modified realities are kind of counted upon. You have taken them into consideration. Gunacha Prakriti Sambhavaha. And what are the gunas? Sattva, Tama, and Rajas. We know the Mula Prakriti in a perfect Samyavastha, when it has Sattva, Tama, and Rajas in equal proportions and there's a perfect balance, there is a laya, there is no samsara. And that balance is upset by the sannidhi between Purusha and Prakriti, and there is Sankalpa in the Purusha that, in case of Vedanta. And therefore, all these things are happening, right? Because of the Sankalpa of the Purusha. And because of the sannidhi with Purusha, the Prakriti starts behaving as if it has independent agency. It doesn't have, it is Jada. Because of sannidhi Purusha, it starts behaving like a subordinate official, assumes the power of, like, for example, sometimes there is something called delegated legislation in administration. Legislative powers are with the assembly. Sometimes the bureaucrats, the bureaucratic bodies have semi-legislative powers. They also pass instructions and laws and ordinances and stuff like that. Similarly, this Prakriti starts creating. This is all story. Huh? This is how the sansara is being explained. The Prakriti starts creating for bhoga and apavarga of Purusha. That is the Sankhya Mata. Let's look at it. Karya grahana grihante gunacha prakriti sambhavaha, and of the sattva tama rajas, they are an apparent manifestation and a modification of the guna. That is the moola prakriti sambhavaha. Sukha dukha muhatmakaha karana asrayatvad. And then the sukha dukha that we are all experiencing, where are they hiding? Because of the sattva tama rajas that we have. The sattvic person is happy, rajasic is always on tension, and tamasic person may be depressed or sad or whatever. So sukha dukkha mohatmakaha. Sukha is sattvika, dukkha is rajas, and moha is tamas. Mohatmakaha karana ashrayatvat. So they are hiding in the cause, like the golden necklace hides in the gold. Same way in Prakriti, the moment you mention, these gunas are also taken care of. Okay, it's like when you see there's a kangaroo which is jumping around and going somewhere, the baby is hiding, it's carrying its own baby. Similarly, when Prakriti is playing a game, these three gunas are also there, because Prakriti will play the game along with three gunas. And Karanashrayatvat, Karana Grahanena Grihante, and then Karanashrayatvat. And then the all these Indriyas, the Indriyas also kind of, they may be interested in Sattvika or Tamasika or anything. So you can also say that by the moment the Karya Karana Kartutve, they are all included. That is what he's saying. So because these all these are kind of uh, experienced by us, or they become real because of the buddhi we have, and buddhi is also one karana, one instrument of knowledge. So because of buddhi and manas and ahankara, all these are karanas, and with the help of these instruments, that is how we sort of connect with all these modifications of reality outside and inside, and we also do processing with the help of these instruments, and therefore that is how by karya karana kartutya prakriti hetu uchyate. So the prakriti is the mother cause of all that we see as a body, as a mind, as our activities. Tesam karya karananam kartutvam. So this karya, this body, and the karana, all the indriyas. Kartutvam, agency. Utpadakatvam, who initiates activity, who makes the body move, who makes the eyes look at things. That is saying utpadakatvam. Yat tat karya karana kartutvam tasmin karya karana kartute hetuhu. What is the cause in this karya karana, this body and the instruments that we have together as a sanghata? So hetu means what is karanam, what is the cause? Arambhakatvena prakriti uchyate. And what is the beginning? We'll go back to the origin. The karana of all this, what is the most important cause of a golden necklace? What is the material cause? Gold. Efficient cause is the goldsmith, is the nimitta karana. But if you say the upadana karana, the material cause, it is gold, because without gold we cannot have a golden necklace. So prakriti is here the material cause. Evam karya karana kartutvena sansarasya karanam prakriti. Now, because it is the agency, the material cause, the material provider, the chief provider of raw material for this body and everything, Karyakarana Sanghata, this whole Panchabhuta outside also, and that is Prakriti, and therefore the Sansara is possible because the Karyakarana Sanghata is possible. Because body mind complexes are there of animals and humans and everything, they experience an external reality, fight with each other, they marry, they have children and everything. So, who is the mother of all these mothers on earth? Prakriti. Because of her, this whole material reality has come into being. Therefore, Prakriti is the cause. What is the Prakriti here? Appara Prakriti, that Ashtadhyayi has mentioned. Karya Karana Kartate iti asmin avi pathe karyam yat yasya viparinamaha. Now he's saying, let us make an alternative interpretation. It's a little hair splitting, a little academic, but it's interesting. Let's take it up, not a problem. You don't have to get distracted by it, but it's an interesting thing to look at. Karya Karana Kartritya. Instead of saying Karya Karana Kartritya, maybe in some books it is Karya Karana Kartritya. Karya and Tat Karya. Karana Tat Karya. Both, there is another ultimate Prakriti. How do you explain it? Because so far we have said Karana is Prakriti, Karya is the Sarira, and the Karana is the instrument. Now we are twisting it. We are saying Karya and Karana. And then Prakriti is the mother. Then what is that Karana? We have to find some meaning for it. That is explaining. Karya Karana Kartute iti asmin api pathe. If you read like this, Karyam yat yasya viparinamaha tat tasya karyam. If gold becomes a golden necklace, what is the word? Karya is golden necklace. What is the Karana? Is gold. Karyam vikaro. Vikari Karanam. What is vikari? What undergoes modification? Modifiable. What is modifiable? Gold. What is what is the modification? Necklace. The modification of gold in the form of a necklace, that is the vikara. Vikari is the one who undergoes that modification. What is modified? Gold is modified. So what is vikari? That is karanam. Tayoho vikaraha vikarinoho karyakaranoho kartute. So if we can look at it, that the prakriti and its modifications, and what is the cause thereof, if we can explain like this. Okay, he's saying this. Athava, he's saying another way. Athava shodasa vikaraha karyam. All these 16 vikaras. What are the 16 vikaras? It's very simple. 5 karmendriyas, 5 gyanendriyas, 5 pancha mahabhutas, and you have manas. These are the 16 vikaras. These are the modified karya. Sapta prakriti vikritaya karanam. What is, how they have come out? We have studied that in Sankhya and on chapter 7. That prakriti vikriti is what? Mahad, that is buddhi, and ahankara, plus 5 tanmatras. These 5 tanmatras plus this buddhi and ahankara together, they are the ones who give rise to manas and the 5 indriyas and the gyanendriyas and the pancha mahabhutas outside. Okay, and therefore that they are the prakriti vikriti. Okay, prakriti means they have some causative aspect, they are also some modified aspect. Why they are vikara? Because they are vikara of mula prakriti. The mula prakriti becomes buddhi or mahatattva, out of which ahankara comes, and then panchatanmatras. They are in an intermediate stage where they are both causal as well as effectual. They are effectual in nature, they are also causal in nature. They are effects of Prakriti and they are causes of the Shodasa Vikara, that is 16 modifications, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Panchamahabhutas, and the Manas. These are the 16. Therefore, they are both Prakriti Vikriti. These are the 7. Karanam, we can say they are the causes. So, Karya Karana means what? Prakriti Vikriti 7, Buddhi, Ahankara, Panchatanmatra, plus Shodasa Vikara. Come out of what? Finally, Prakriti. So Prakriti Uchyate, in that sense we can say, Tani eva karya karanani uchyate tesam kartuti hetuhu. What is the cause of their agency? Prakriti uchyate arambhakatvena, because it is the beginning point. And then, Purusha sukha dukhanang bhuktuti hetu uchyate, that we have to also explain, he is explaining. What is that? Purushaha sansarasya karanam. Yathasya tad uchyate. How Purusha becomes sansarasya karana. Purusha is responsible for sansara. And this is a beautiful aspect, please understand. By sansara, we are not referring to the material, realitycal, the world, the physical world. The physical world, there is no sansara in it. Think about it. And this is a deep, secret, philosophical idea. Now, there is a desert, and there are maybe snow peaks. Is there any sansara? There is a physical reality. There is no sansara. And similarly, you go to the North Pole, nobody goes to a particular point. There is a physical reality, but there is no sansara. The moment we use the word sansara in Sanskrit, we are talking about sansaranam, birth and death. And that means what? We are talking about birth and death, means we are essentially talking about this whole process of karmas, bandhas, and then lack of freedom, And also at the same time, this whole process of Papa Punya, depending on which somebody is born in a good or a bad family, right? So that is why it is mentioned, Tesam Karya Karananam, sorry. So Purusha Jiva Kshetrajna Bhokta iti Paryaya. So Sansara word essentially is referring to a subjective aspect of the reality. Without subjectivity, there is no Sansara. There will be physical world. So on the moon, is there any Sansara in moon? No, there is moon, but there is no Sansara. On Mars, do we have any Sansara? No, there is no Sansara in Mars. Jupiter? No. Sun? No. Earth? Yes. Why? We have human beings. There is subjectivity. And then there is good action, there is bad action. And there they have mukti and they have baddhavastha, they have conflict, they have marriage, they have children. So this sansaranam, this whole process continues because of an attachment, an egoistic attachment, and this whole entrapment which happens because of the way our mind functions and mistakes this whole process is real. That is the whole thing that he is trying to explain. So Purusha sansarasya karanam yathasya tad uchyate. How the Purusha becomes the sansara karana. That is what is being explained. Purusha jivaha. What is Purusha? Purusha is jiva. And that is Kshetrajna. You earlier Kshetrajna yoga you are discussing. That is also Kshetrajna. Vokta iti paryayaha. So this is the most important commentary. If we can capture this, then whole of Gita becomes easy. Otherwise, a person keeps asking, what is Paraprakriti, what is Aparaprakriti, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetrajna, what is Purusha, what is Prakriti. They are all Paryayavachi. Paryaya means different ways in which you express the same reality. Synonyms in English. So what he's trying to say here is that Purushaha, Jivaha, Kshetrajna, Bhokta iti Paryaya. They are all synonyms expressing the same reality, referring to the subjective aspect of our reality, of our existence. Sukha dukhanang bhogyanang bhaktritve upalabdhritve hetuhu uchyate. In this particular jiva, the Purusha, that subjective self that we are, that is the cause of our upalabdhritva, that we get anything, that we connect with the world, we have some experience, we have some knowledge, we have some sadness or happiness. That is the thing. And bhoktritva. What is bhoktritva? What is bhokta? You eat things or you experience things. What is that? Essentially, you are having some upalabdhi. You are gaining something out of it, which could be essentially some prapti, some kind of a bhoga, some kind of a process of connecting with an external world. And we'll explain what is bhoga later on. He will explain. कथं पुनः अनेन कार्यकरणकर्तृत्वेन सुख दुःख भोक्तृत्वेन च प्रकृति पुरुषयोः संसार कारणत्वम्. Please explain to me, sir, how then this whole Purusha Prakriti together, because earlier you were saying Prakriti everything creates. Now you are saying Purusha and Prakriti together, Bhoktritvena, that Karya Karana Kartutvena is Prakriti and the Sukha Dukha Bhoktritvena is Purusha. Purusha has Sansara Karanatva. How they cause the Sansara? I don't understand. This is a little okay. They experience reality. The cause is Purusha. That is fine. And then this is the material body and Indriyas and Prakriti is the cause. Apara Prakriti, Para Prakriti together make human beings possible, society possible. That I understand. The Sansara, which is the cause of sadness and happiness and conflict and attachment and wars and everything, how they are responsible? Please explain to me. Atra Uchyate, he is explaining. कार्यकरण सुख दुःख रूपेण हेतु फलात्मना प्रकृते. So कार्यकरण सुख दुःख रूपेण. So karyakarana and sukha dukha rupena. So one is the prakriti aspect, the jada aspect, and the chetana aspect. Karyakarana and sukha dukha rupena. So sukha dukha is what? Some kind of an experience, subjective thing. And karyakarana is the body and the instruments of knowledge and of connecting with the world. Jada. So this together, sukha dukha rupena, hetu phalatmana prakritehe, parinama bhave purushasya chetanasya asati. Tad upalabdhrite kutah sansarasya. He's saying, look here, why the sansara is there? Because if you don't have the body with the indriyas, and you don't have the purusha or the jiva, that jiva satta, who can experience that chetana thing? Sansar kahan se aayega? Sansar is there because there is somebody to experience sukha dukkha. And there is somebody who is getting involved in this material world with the help of his instruments and his body. To do any papa or punya, what do you need? You need this body mind complex, then you need that subjective self in you, that bhakta, that I want to do some good work, I want to feel happy, I want to meditate, I want to shout at that guy, I'm not happy with someone's behavior. This is what is the cause of samsara. These two things for Prakriti Purusha are not there, then samsara and the samsara thing, that dukhatmaka thing, that whole that entrapment, that prison in which all of us are captured, not possible. That is what I'm saying, that on Moon or Mars or Jupiter, you have the planet, you have Panchabhutas, everything, but you don't have one thing. And what is that? You don't have this Prakriti Purusha thing there, you don't have Manusha. Therefore, there is no samsara. It's very simple. यदा पुनः कार्यकरणरूपेण हेतुफलात्मना परिणतया प्रकृत्या भोग्यया पुरुषस्य तद्विपदिस्य भोक्तृत्वेन अविद्यारूपः संयोगः स्यात् तदा संसारः स्यात्. Now, what is sort of elaborating it? That only when there is a karya karana sanghata, the body mind complex, right? And this prakriti has modified itself to become this body mind complex. And number two, whenever there is this jiva which can experience this whole material existence and say, this is causing happiness to me, this is causing sadness to me. This Purusha is exactly different, opposite to what is Prakriti. Prakriti is Jada, creates this body and indriyas and all. The Purusha is subtle and it is para Prakriti, right? It doesn't have a physical aspect to it. And that is a very subtle thing. And they are both different. Because of them, because of the Purusha and the Prakriti, when the Purusha thing connects with the external world and there is a desire to connect, that is the Mula Bhuta Karana of Sansara. Even if you have 20 boys, there are 20 little boys. They are all human beings. And these 20 little boys are in a creche. The mothers of these children drop them, and there is a park or a creche or whatever. And the babies come, and there is a creche, and there are some dolls and something. They start playing. If they are too small, they nicely love each other and play games and this and that. They don't know, they don't understand anything. They are 1 year olds. They have some, they get a little scared of each other initially, but then they know these are all. Some people coming, they have no understanding who they are. If these babies are few months old, 5, 6 months old, and you put 20 babies, they just interact with each other without knowing anything. There is no real samsara till you have the ahankara manifesting and the jiva having some desire to connect. When one kid wants to have one doll and the other kid also wants to have that, and then there is a fight. That karma, that desire to connect with the external world in a certain way. Let me have that doll. This is mine. The baby cries. Or the baby wants it. He said, no, I was holding that earlier. There is a fight. So that is mine. That is how the whole sansara, avidya rupaha. And then he's saying why he wants to, when you have that bhaktiltvena avidya rupaha sanyogaha, born out of ignorance. You are actually not connected with anything, that Purusha, but it wants to get connected. Sat tada samsara syaditi. That is how he then. अतः यत् प्रकृति पुरुषः कार्यकरणकर्तृत्वेन सुख दुःख भोक्तृत्वेन च संसार कारणत्वम् उक्तं तद् युक्तम्. So whatever Bhagavan mentions that this Prakriti Purusha, they are the Sansara Karana, that is perfect, there is no contradiction, that is what he is concluding. King Punah, I am Sansara Nama, but tell me, Sansar kya hai? Tell me what is the Sansara? I'm a little confused that he is trying to say, that I'm enormously confused. So he's saying, I will tell you what is Sansara. Sankaracharya says, Sukha Dukkha Sambhoga Sansaraha, that you want to have the Sukha Dukkha and Sambhoga, that is what is Sansara. Purushasya sa Sukha Dukkhanang Sambhoktritvam Sansaritvam iti. And then Purushka jo Sukha Dukkhanang Sambhoktritvam. It wants to have that bhoktritva, it wants to have the ability to experience. And that happens of what? Through connectivity, through kama. So the Purusha and connectivity with the external world in order to experience have this, that is how is the beginning of samsara. That is how he's saying. So there is one guy who's calling again and again. So let's hold it there and we'll take it forward tomorrow, and I'll just bring the talk to an end today here.
Tomorrow, Swamiji,